Hello everyone, this is Big Benedict. We're playing DmC on Dante Must Die difficulty. This is mission 7 of 20. And it's a long chapter because it involves a lot of confrontations. The first confrontation is a self-contained wave. We're just going to be fighting the Frost Knights and the Death Knights. The former number 1 and the latter number 2. So we're going to do that first confrontation over here. And so here are the Death Knights. Here you notice that they have that blade similar to the Frost Knight, and they have the shield similar to the Frost Knight. So what I was going to say was not these enemies here, but this game, unlike the other Devil May Cries, they really let you break the enemy's poise. What that means is that when you're going for a hit with these lesser enemies, who will be in some of the next waves, but not particularly these guys. But even if the enemy is going to strike you, if you hit him, he will recoil, stagger back, and you'll be in charge. You'll just be dominating the fight because he'll throw down his attack. And I think that is why this game is a tad bit easier than the other Devil May Cries, because I don't think they let you get away with that kind of stuff in the other DMCs. But that said, you can't do that on every enemy. In fact, you cannot break the poise of a devil-triggered enemy, or, for instance, like the Dream Runners, or the Witches. However, once you take the shield off of the Witches, then you can completely break their poise and end up just murdering them with whatever you want, although they regenerate their shields pretty quickly. So the Frost Knights, they're not too bad. They really aren't. I mean, look how easily they can be contained here. So what we're looking at is this video, which is almost a half an hour, and then the next video, which is it's under 10 minutes. Okay, so what do we have here? This looks like the second wave. We've got a couple of... Okay, so we have a Hell Knight and 2 more Death Knights. Looked like I missed that. What I'm trying to do is... I've gone through the bestiary in the guidebook that I've purchased for this game, and I just wanted to outline these waves and label the enemies, what they're correctly called, so that if I need to, if I need to revisit this video to see what an enemy is called, because I think we fight the entire bestiary in this chapter, more or less, But so it looks like I missed this wave. So yeah, you're not going to get a checkpoint until you clear this wave, which is pretty good. So once their shields, like with these guys, even though they're pretty high up on the rank, once their shield is gone, you can completely just tear through them. So the next fight up here, we're looking at... what are we looking at? We're looking at this little cutscene here, and if what I have is right, this is probably what the Hell Knight times 2 is. And I was just, times 3? Okay. I think you get a checkpoint here, but I could be mistaken. So with these guys, you want to be in the double trigger mode, and it's fairly easy when you have enemies all of the same nature, which is these guys here. So to avoid getting burnt, just use the devil trigger weapons, which are the Arbiter or the Eric's. Just remember, choose what you're more comfortable using here. If you need to cancel out of attacks, I feel that the Eric's is a little bit faster. It's like using punching gloves, whereas with the Eric's, you're using a sledgehammer that's very slow, yet packs a hell of a punch. Anyway, what I was saying though is we have these two videos, and then the video after that will be fighting Bob Barbas, whose character I rather liked. I like his role as the limbo prison authority, and I liked his, just the good, the evil nature of him, the kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff. What do we have here? We have a Frost Knight. There's so many ways that I kind of lost track. So what we have here, we have a Frost Knight as well as two Elite Stygians. And then if my notes are correct here, we're also going to have a Dream Runner coming up after him. So here's the Frost Knight. Just remember that you can use these weapons on him. You don't have to use... I don't believe so. Oh, maybe you do. I'm sorry about that. Okay, looks like we have... What do we have here? A Dream Runner and a Frost Knight. So this looks like one of the latter waves here. So what I did right there is I just decided to use my Devil Trigger on the Frost Knight because I pretty much know how to deal with those guys, and you should too by now. But these Dream Runners are very problematic because they're fast and they don't really let their guard down too much. So what you want to do is just to wait until they teleport over to you and are vulnerable, although they just love to counterattack. You can also launch them up into the air, and I don't know the success rate of that because I in the next chapter we'll be actually confronted with like 2 Dream Runners at a time, although you can smash them right up into the train that alternates running over the arena, and it's really rewarding to get all those environmental kills that way. So I would say if you're getting hit too much and you can't evade properly with the Arbiter and you need that little extra time window, then just go for the Urks. What I do is I pull them over to me because they're normally not close enough to just start swinging and hitting. And always go for those demon evades because you're going to get that HP or the strength buff. It's not really a fun enemy to fight. It was challenging at first, and I bet a lot of people can agree. Just trying to figure the guy out, but he really doesn't take too long to learn his patterns. Okay, where are we? Okay, we're on this part now. We're getting into the actual prison facility here, and I really enjoy this part myself. But a couple of tough encounters up here. I'll point which ones I really struggle on, because I'll know exactly what they were because I'll have done them so many times that they'll just be very familiar. And I think they have to do with the rages. So take a left over here. This is a lot of platforming, a lot of secrets, but I've already got all the secrets and I can't show you where they are unless I just go to the location and just kind of point where it is, but that's pointless. I think we're going to be having some dealings with the Rages and the Ravagers coming up pretty soon, right in here, I believe.
Okay, there's the tower.
Bob Barbas is a fun boss too. All these bosses are fun to fight. So what do we have here? We have a little potpourri of enemies here. We have looks like we have that Hell Knight, and we have 2 Ravagers, the guys with the chainsaw, and then 1 Frost Knight. So this could be a kind of a difficult situation because you're alternating so many times between the weapons. So what I would do is, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of leave the Frost Knight alone and go in for attacks with this weapon, because 3 of these 4 enemies, they're susceptible to the demon arms, whereas the Frost Knight, he's the anomaly. So plus it's really nice when you can get all these guys frozen. There we go, there's a downward smash. So it looks like it's called the Stomp. And these guys here, when they're glowing, that's not their Devil Trigger mode, but that is a mode where you cannot break their poise. So when they are out of that, if you attack them, they will stagger backwards and allow you to accrue your hits. And you see how they do that? It's kind of like a lunging chainsaw attack. That one right there, it was not what I'm talking about, but so yeah, you definitely want to be using this weapon because the floor is just going to take away too much of your HP. So just ignore the Frost Knight. And I would not use the Devil Trigger here. I don't think you need to use it because we're going to have another wave with a Butcher coming up and a Stygian. A group of Stygians, rather. And if these are the guys that I'm thinking, you'll see how easily the poise of these guys gets broken. And as far as your own character's poise, it gets broken every time you get hit, although that's kind of the name of the game here. You're not supposed to get hit. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple of enemies devil triggering, so it's going to be hard to get them taken care of here unless we use some heavy duty attacks. So when they're in devil trigger mode, it's just hard. It's harder to fling them up, it's harder to break their poise, and it's just harder to you'll just need more stamina in battle. You'll need to survive longer, bottom line. But not too terribly tough of an enemy. And if you get frozen, just mash on the buttons. That's what works for me, because it seems like you get out of it faster, that frozen stun. So we're going to transition into wave 2 over here in a minute. And there was one point at which I used an item. I can't remember at which point. I think it was on this chapter that I used a small healing item. So I felt guilty about that, but you know, what can you really do? Okay, so he's sundered. And now we've got the Stygians crawling out of the walls here. Now these enemies, their poise can be broken so long as they're not guarding, and you don't have to be using the heavy arms to break that poise. So here comes the Butcher. What I'm going to do is just try to take off as much HP of this guy as I can. And the number one weapon for the Butchers is definitely the sledgehammer. But if you're having problems moving away from his attacks when he returns when he counterattacks, so to speak, switch to the Erics. And I'd like to assess this guy's patterns. Okay, so here I'm letting him kill the other guys for me as much as I can, staying out of the line of fire. When the Butcher, he has like one strong attack like that, which is all it is, and then you can move in because he has a lot of recovery time before he does another attack. But the attack that a lot of people probably get caught in, particularly you know, if you're using a weapon that it's hard to cancel out of, like the sledgehammer. His main barrage, see? 1, 2, no, that wasn't it. It's that one. No, he didn't do it. 1, 2, 3. And see that last combo? I dodged right through that. But if you wanted to jump over it, that works just as well too. So here's the... kind of a similar start to his combos. But what I get fooled into thinking is that once I do a demon evade, I try to demon evade through all of his attacks, and it doesn't work. They don't let you do that. So you see how strong that was to just finish the guy off, and now he's a deceased son of a bitch. And now this part here, where we at? Okay, so this next fight was one that took me an hour or so today. It's really difficult. Okay, so what the witch does is that, you know, she doesn't have very much HP. If you're not focusing, I mean, if you are focusing on the other enemies, she'll likely shield them to protect them. And what we need to do is just continually break her shield and possibly try to get her killed within 2 sessions of the strong attacks with the Arbiter. So she has no poise when her shield is out of the, you know, when you break her shield, you can just pretty much rip her up as best you can. And even when she starts throwing, I don't even know what they are, those daggers. If you hit her, okay, first of all, if she does not have her shield and she's throwing the daggers, if you hit her before she throws the daggers, then it just cancels out the attack. So that's what you want to be doing when that happens. Like, for instance, like this, I'm hiding behind corners to shield myself. And this is a hard fight because I don't think I allowed myself to use any items, but this might have been the fight where I just kind of just said to hell with it, and I just used a small healing item to save myself. But it might not have been that encounter. I'll look closely at the footage, but the thing is, we have 3 of these guys at a time, and if you kill one of these rages while you're dealing with the witch, then more rages will spawn. So I think it's just a priority, in my opinion. If there's a witch on the scene, just take her out first of all, because she's going to be guarding the other enemies, and it's just going to make your life that much more difficult. So I tried to accrue my devil trigger as best as I could. I mean, sometimes if you don't have access to it, just getting it to the point of activation is enough, and it might save you. But try to get it a little past that so you have more time, because it really dwindles quickly. So these guys are glowing. They're guarding with their shields, and we just need to take them out. I'm electing to use this weapon because it's a little weaker than the sledgehammer, but it allows me more flexibility in combat, allows me to evade quicker if I need to, cancel out of attacks. If there's just one of these guys left, then I don't really mind too much using the Arbiter. So this guy, when there's just one left, then it really becomes problematic, because then they go into that mode right there, which takes off, it would have definitely killed me. I think it takes off 5 squares of your health. So that definitely is a hard fight. So we're going to be moving on to the next fight, and I think we're going to be fighting some Harpies. Okay, if you want to take a right, you can get some items over there. It's not very many. What I love about this game, though, is you could play for about half an hour or 45 minutes and keep perishing, and all of your points, all of the orbs that you get for killing all the enemies, everything, it just stacks. Everything stacks. I love this game for doing that. I love how everything just stacks from difficulty to difficulty. This game does definitely does things right in that department. So we've just got the one rage here plus the Harpies. You know the drill about those guys. If they're dangling over the abyss, you can shoot them, de-wing them, and they will not recover because they'll just fall into the abyss. But unfortunately, the game gives these guys all the railing in the world, and they don't give you any, as far as invisible railing, that is. Okay, another witch battle up ahead, along with some rages. I think this was a tough battle for me as well.
Going down.
And do we have access to the divinity statue? Okay. This fight was challenging for me, and I think the reason was it's a multi-wave fight. I think it is. No, maybe not. But we have the rages here, we have the witch, and it's just one of the same situations we had before. So get her out of her shield, go to town. You see, you could even pull her right over to you and just start matching her. What I like about this game is that it does not reward button mashing. Anybody who thinks it's a button mashing game, you just don't even know what you're talking about. You know, it might be a button mashing game on normal, but where is the challenge of that difficulty? It just it doesn't exist. Okay, so here I'm just pressing the left trigger plus the B button to... it's just a very fast attack, and it wears her down pretty well. And these, if you want to get more spacing from these, what you want to do is the angel evade, which is the left trigger plus double tapping the right bumper. And these guys... tough only because of that really fast move that the last one does. Here he is. Fortunately, I was in another position where that version of him had very little HP, so I was able to finish him off. And I hope the same was true for you. Okay, so we have a divinity statue over here. Access it if you need to. I just have way too many items here. I mean, I'm not using items. I'm not boasting. I'm just saying that I think I've used one item in this campaign. But this is the final fight of the chapter. It's definitely not an escort mission, and it's definitely not a fight where you get any kind of assistance. But we have a bunch of the Harpies. We have the Stygian warriors, and then once you kill them, we're going to be facing... Is it one Dream Runner? It's only one Dream Runner, but be prepared in the next chapter for fighting two of those guys at the same time. And it's pretty challenging at first. So this part is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you just want to be firing in the distance at the Harpies with the shotguns, charged blast. And if you don't have much Devil Trigger, like I don't have much, you will not get very much by just killing the enemies unless you're doing stylish attacks. That's pretty much what this whole series is based on. You need to be stylish to build up the Devil Trigger as fast as you can, and also to build up your combo points so that you can actually buy abilities. Okay, so unfortunately the Dream Runner comes in before the last of these Harpies is deceased. So just finish off these guys as quickly as you can while avoiding the Dream Runner's attacks. See, he's pretty passive when he wants to be. and if necessary, just turn the camera away from him, and he will be even less more passive. Excuse me. So, okay, so here he is. We fought this guy a number of times, and you don't have to do the demon evade, and you don't have to use these strong attacks. I mean, if you want to, the rebellion is sufficient to fight this guy. But I'm telling you, the reason I do it, and it's just because once I come off of the, you can't get a perfect evade if you're not using the demon mode. But you can still use the rebellion after you do your demon evade if you want to, because you would just come off of the, if you're using the arbiter, do your perfect evasion and then switch. But I don't think it carries over. In fact, I'm pretty damn certain that it doesn't, because it's not a demon weapon. So here I'm trying to launch this guy up, and it is possible. He's just got to be he's got to be staggered at least. You've got to hit him at least once to get him out of his defensive posture, and you can hit him up into the sky. Okay, there's the evade. Pull him towards us, and just slowly chip away at his health. There's a parry. He'll always parry you in a fight. I mean, on this difficulty mode, just expect it to happen like or at least like 2 out of 3 times, I would say. And it's just a tough demon to fight. That's all I gotta say. But with enough practice, it should just be, just a formality from time to time. But when you're fighting too, things are a little different, and I'll discuss that in the next video. So I'm almost at the point of death. One hit will kill me, but he is almost dead. I can tell that because I've hit him a lot of times with the sledgehammer. So anyway, this fight should be concluded in a minute. That was a long video, many fights. I hope that you succeeded, and I will see you in Mission 8.